I will start with a question, and the answer to which is very much there in front of you, that what is communication? So communication is a dynamic process. It is the conveying of thoughts and feelings. It depends upon the course of events, the stimuli that you're exposed to, and it is the way you speak, the way you use your body language, the way you interact with the people, the way you express your ideas, emotions, your gestures, your postures. Everything comes within communication. The word communication is derived from Latin word communis, which means to share or to participate. So when you are sharing something or participating in some activity, so that is communis or communication. It is also called a two-way process of reaching mutual understanding, in which parties involved exchange information, news, ideas and feelings. So this is very generic definition about communication. So if you go to the broader sense, communication is not only about sharing of ideas, emotions, feelings, gestures, postures, exchanging of information, mutual understanding. The communication is a slightly bigger subject. Like in very simple words, when we talk about the word telecommunication, so even in that thing, communication is involved. So communication simply means transferring something from point A to point B. Like you put something from your sofa and drop it on your table. This is communication. You exit from your house and you enter a shop. That is communication. So whatever is happening, wherever there is a movement, there is communication. Now this is the process of communication, and in this we see the source, encoding, channel, decoding and receiver. So when we talk about source is the one who initiates a message in verbal or written form. He initiates a message, a talk, he writes a message, or he writes something that is the beginning of communication. So the source first of all needs to decide what to say, what to write. Now say, this is very important question that we should know, that what our requirement is. What do we need to write, or what do we need to say? We can say plenty of things, but we should plan and then speak. So we should always think before we are speaking something. So whatever we are speaking is worthless or not. The thing that I am going to communicate, is it authentic or not? Or the thing that I want to say to the people, is it true? Is it of some benefit? Or is it for larger good purposes? So then the source should issue or initiate the message, and then the message is encoded. So encoded is like a form of making codes of the sound signal that can be in various types. For example, when you talk about the transmission on radio or television, so sound is transmitted into electric signals. So that is encoding of it. So that encoding through some channel is sent to the speakers, and then they're again decoded and we listen to the voice. So this is encoding. Now encoding a process in which we give a formal way, a formal dress to the language. For example, that can be Urdu language, that can be English language. So we are giving some shape to the language. Now I have some thought. I have some thought that I want to write. I have some thought that I want to say. No, writing and saying that in some particular language is encoding of it. Like I am encoding that in Urdu, I'm encoding that in English, and then I'm transmitting it. And then there is a channel. The channel is, channel can be verbal channel, or that can be written channel. So in verbal channel, we have one-to-one communication, like which is called face-to-face communication, telephonic communication. So these are verbal channels. In written channels, we have text messages, we have email, we have letters. So that is a written channel. And then communication, then whatever is said and whatever that passes through a channel is decoded. So when we are decoding the message, if we know English, we can easily decode the message of English. If we know Urdu, we can decode the message that is sent in Urdu. And there is always a receiver. So he is basically the one who decodes the message. So once he is done with the decoding, he will give a feedback to the source. Now that feedback will ultimately mean whether communication is successful or not. For example, the source sent a message and the message was in verbal form, and the receiver heard the message and then he replied to it correctly. So this means the communication process was successful and this was an effective communication. So if you go into your past, like this was a common game in the childhood that we would practice or experience such communication style, that we held two jars and or two tins along with a wire that was attached to both of them, and from one end one would speak and from the other end the receiver would listen. So from there we have this communication process, and so I'm explaining from that point of view. So you can see the sender. So the sender here is holding the tin in his hand, and he is basically the speaker, he is the sender, and whatever he is saying, that thing is encoded. If he is saying in Urdu, so that message is being recorded in Urdu, or he is saying that in Urdu. If he is speaking in English, so that is the encoding of the message in English. So both the tins and the wire, it is the communication channel through which the voice is transmitted. The message goes through the wire, so it is inside somewhere, and then when it reaches the receiver, he decodes the message. For example, if he knows Urdu, so the message is in Urdu, so he is decoding it because he knows the codes of Urdu language. He knows how to break them. Now, the process of communication, and in this process of communication, the source is of greater importance. Now, the source determines why to communicate, what to communicate, the usefulness of communication, and accuracy of the information to be communicated. Now, that depends about source. That depends upon the source, what kind of person he is. Like, for example, you must have heard that if someone is telling some hadith or some Quranic verse, we do ask the source of it. Or especially in the case of hadith, we do ask the source of it because there are so many people who are narrating hadith, and we need to make sure whether it really exists or not. And in your daily life, you must have seen that if you come to know that a person who is always cheating, who's always lying, who's always deceiving others, you will not tend to believe in what he says. You will be saying that person is always liar. So we cannot trust the things said by such person. So the source is of greater importance. The authenticity of the source, the truthfulness of the source, that matters a lot. So in communication, the role of the source is very important because for good communication, the source should determine why is he communicating and what is the content that he should communicate. Like, we can speak aimlessly, but he should first determine that for a good communication rather, that what he can speak, or what should be the content, what should be the knowledge that he should deliver. Like, we prepare our lecture before we go to the classroom. And then usefulness of communication. He should keep in mind that why is that communication going on? Is this useless talk, or that will aim or that will achieve something in the end? So this is one of the key factors that he should note. Then accuracy of the information. The source should make sure that whatever information he is sharing is factual, is authentic, and is accurate. Because rumors spread like this way because we are not certain of their whether they're authentic or not, and we are sharing them with so many people, and then that multiplies and prevails, and then in fact the thing is not true, that is not based upon truth. So we should be very much careful about the accuracy of the information that we intend conveying. Nowadays we see that on our WhatsApps, on Facebook, using these social media, a bulk of fake news and information is shared. And they're shared because people want their publicity, people want the maximum views on their channels, on the social pages. So they don't mind making fake or false news. So this is ethically and in your social ways, in your day-to-day life, morally, it is a bad thing. Then encoding. Encoding is a process. Encoding is a process. For example, if I need to speak to my English friend, I'll be using the codes of English language. If I need to talk to my friend in village, I'll be talking to him in Punjabi codes. So I need to give address to my language, and encoding is that address. That what kind of codes I am giving to the words that I want to convey, or to my thoughts basically. So the process of transferring the information you want to communicate into a form that can be sent and correctly decoded at the other end. So this is the process of transferring the information that you want to communicate into a form that can be sent and correctly decoded at the other end. I can record my communication the way I am recording. I can give the language address. I give the thought a language address of language. I can pen it. I can write it. So there are so many things the way I can encode my message. Now in encoding, I should be able to know how to communicate. Like this is my ability to convey information, and then I should eliminate the confusion of cultural issues, mistaken assumptions, missing information. So I should be making it so clear that there is no issue involved. And then knowing your audience. If I am recording my message, I am encoding my message, I should know who are the people I am talking to or referring to. If the people that I am talking to are English, then I should be recording my message in English or sending my message in English. If the people happen to be Urdu speakers, then my language, preferable language, should be Urdu. So this matters. So we should know the audience, and we should make our content. Why are we communicating with them? What are we communicating with them? Usefulness of communication. Everything should be prepared according to the need and wants of the audience. Lacks, wants, and needs of the audience. Next is channel. So we have verbal communication channels and written communication channels. So the channels are the medium through which the conversation or the communication is going on. So in verbal communication channel, we have face-to-face meetings, we have telephone, we have video conferencing, and in written communication channels, we have letters, emails, memos, reports. So in verbal communication channel, we have face-to-face meetings. Like we talk to a person face-to-face, we can look at each other's expressions. There's no confusion about that. We can see a person is smiling or not, is frowning or not, is getting angry or not. So then we have telephone, and on telephone we can have a good communication again. But again, since we don't have the face of the person in front of us, we are not sure about his facial gestures or emotions. But yes, from his tone we get an idea. Video conferencing is another way of communicating with one person, with more than one person. We can use Zoom, we can use FaceTime, we can use WhatsApp video calls. So there's so many mediums nowadays which can help in video conferencing. In written communication channels, we have letters, yes, the old ones, and the emails which replace the letters, and memos and reports. So all these things are again conveying the information. All these things are communicating the information, but these are communicating in written way. So the verbal and written communication both have their strengths and weaknesses. Now, as far as verbal communication is concerned, the strength of verbal communication is that the role of body language is conspicuous. That is very much in front of us. We can know how a person is behaving, posing, or how a person is giving gestures. We can convey ourselves better through our body language. Like in every good presentation, our body language fills in 75% of the communication, and rest of 25% or even less than that is verbal section. So more than 75 to 80% is the role of your non-verbal communication, and body language is one of them. So there is the strength if your body language is working well. Like it is not present in written communication. We cannot see the body language and the non-verbal communication in the written scripts. Like it is the strength of verbal communication. The strength of the weakness of verbal communication is that it is not possible to give long list of directions. For example, we cannot remember or learn all the things by heart. I cannot remember longer points by heart, so I need to pen them down point by point. Okay, if I am to initiate a meeting with my colleagues and I am presiding the meeting, so I will be keeping my notes with them, and by looking at one point I'll be explaining the point. So this is the way that is easier for me. I don't, or not everyone has very good memory that they can remember everything by heart. So this is weakness of verbal communication. Written communication, the strength of written communication is that there's always a proof of communication. Whatever we are talking, we are making it documented, we are making a proof of it, we are making it written in black and white in front of us. So the proof in written communication is not found in the verbal communication. We are not all the time recording, audio video recording the person so that we can have a proof of what the person said. But the written communication, especially in official documentation, is a proof. All the letters are a proof, so we need to keep them saved so that we need to use them when there is time. And then weakness, the written words do not show how a person's actual feeling. So written words never show that the feelings of a person, the true feelings of a person. We cannot understand by looking at the written words the emotions. Text messages and written communication that has for a very long time creating a confusion among the relations, because we could not express our emotions, that if I'm writing something bad, then I'm feeling bad as well. No, there could be vice versa. Now we can use emoticons, we can use gestures, so we can be sure that what is the mood of the person in conveying an information. But in those days, in earlier days, we did not have this proof, and even the official documentation, we still don't know what is the actual feeling of a person. So this is the weakness of it. Decoding is like to listen actively. And reading information or listening to the information carefully in both the channels. अगर spoken channel है, so you will listen actively. If written channel है, you will read carefully. So you need to avoid question and you need to ask if you have missed something. अगर कोई बात समझ नहीं आई, if or you could not understand something in written text or verbal speech, so you should ask the question again to remove that confusion. So in that way, your decoding will be successful. Then we have the receiver. So there are certain things about receiver. So the prior knowledge can influence the receiver's understanding. So prior knowledge matters a lot. For example, if you don't know anything about a mobile phone and I give you a lecture on its some innermost part, you may not be able to understand that because you did not have the prior lecture. Or if I start teaching you the tenses, कि present indefinite tense ये होता है, past perfect ये होता है, without telling you the parts of speech. So since you don't have the prior knowledge of the parts of speech, you may not be able to understand the tenses. So in this way, the present knowledge or the prior knowledge about something that is spoken or written, that is necessary. And then about written communication, you know that if you're reading some novel for the first time, you feel it difficult. But if you already know a story about that novel, so that is somewhat easier for you कि आप उसको easily थोड़ा understand कर सकते हैं क्योंकि आपको थोड़ा सा story का idea है. And then there are blockades in the receiver's mind. Maybe the receiver is not willing to what you are saying, willing to perceive what you're saying. He's not willing to absorb what you want to convey. There are some blockades. He is not listening. He doesn't want to listen. He is not mentally present. He is not willing to talk. So there are so many barriers which are there in effective communication. Or maybe he's not understanding you. Maybe he's not familiar with the language you have spoken, the language you are speaking. And then the surrounding disturbances, these refer to the noise, the environment where you're sitting, where you're talking. For example, if you're speaking to your brother in Urdu language, but if you are in some stadium, he will not be able to understand you. So this is the surrounding disturbance. Noise disrupts your communication system. For effective communication, we should choose a place which is not noisy or less noisy. So you must have noticed a library is said to be the quietest or the most silent place in some institute. Why is it silent? Because you are able to concentrate. Now the feedback is important. Now feedback determines whether the communication is successful or not. Now feedback can be your verbal reactions, non-verbal reactions. Feedback can be positive and negative. For example, if I request someone to please fetch me a glass of water, and if that person notes or he goes practically and brings a glass of water without saying anything, so this is non-verbal reaction, but feedback is there. And if I again request a person to fetch me a glass of water and he says, okay, yes, I'm bringing it for you, so this is verbal reaction. So there are verbal and non-verbal reactions in feedback. So if a person goes in both ways and brings me a glass of water, the communication is successful. Then there is positive feedback and negative feedback. We give a feedback to each other, and that feedback sometimes is constructive, sometimes that is critical. So both are aiming at the betterment of something. We always give a feedback because we want improvement in something. So feedback is only given when you have understood a thing, whether it comes to your standard or not, whether you are impressed or not. In both the ways, we need to give feedback. The students are writing in their examination on the papers, we check them, and then the score or the comments we write on them are our feedback. So if the feedback is there, that makes certain that communication was successful. Next, we have types of communication, and the types of communication is different according to certain different classifications. So first of all, it is according to the number of people who receive the message. So according to this, we have interpersonal communication, intrapersonal communication, group communication, and mass communication. So interpersonal communication is when we are talking to someone, to some people, to one more than one person, when we are having discussion with them, when we are having some interaction with them. So in this way, that is interpersonal communication. That is beyond your personal level. So you're talking to either one or more than one person. So we daily go through this process. We talk to people in our house, in our professional life, in day-to-day markets, in our way back home. So whatever we are doing, we are meeting people. Man is social animal. So man needs society to live with. So if we are talking about interpersonal communication, then there are so many people who are having certain different images of us. So we are not what we feel, what we are. So we are what others see us as, what they feel us to be. So our image about our image in the eyes, mind of the other people, that matters a lot. I may be considering myself the best person, but I don't know that my next door neighbor, what does he think about me? So our interpersonal communication should be good. So the words are your expression, the expression of your character. They tell what you are. So once a person came to Socrates, the great Greek philosopher, and he was having a towering personality. He was in a very good dress. He seemed rich. So when he met Socrates, and Socrates asked him to communicate, to talk. So he asked him to talk so that Socrates can observe what kind of person he is. So your personality, your being rich or poor, or your dress sense, that doesn't make what you really are. That is your communication. So your communication makes it what you need to be or what you really are. Then we have intrapersonal communication. Now, interpersonal communication is a person's own communication with his own self. The way a person talks to his own self. As a manner of monologue, as a manner of soliloquy, that a person is talking to his own self, or he is giving address to his thoughts. So we see the examples of intrapersonal communication in dramas when an actor is talking to himself so that the audience knows what does he feel or what is he feeling right now. And our intrapersonal communication is basically a way towards the interpersonal communication. If our loneliness is better, our gathering will be the best. So if our loneliness is full of sins, so our gathering must be like this. So the birds of feather flock together. So a man again is known by the company he keeps. So our intrapersonal communication, our thoughts, our whatever we are thinking the whole day, that matters a lot, and that weaves a way to our interpersonal communication. Then we have group communication. We have so many people gathered and we are talking to them, like in classroom lectures, like in academies, like in official meetings. So we have larger group. So when we are talking to them, this is group communication. Again, for group communication, we should be conscious in using proper words. Then we have mass communication. Now the mass communication is what I am doing here. So I am recording this lecture, and all the students and all those who have subscribed my channel, they will be listening to this lecture. And this is like, especially at this level, one should be very conscious about the selection of words, because your words are communicated and they're not communicated to one person. Even one person is sometimes enough to create rumors about you or about what you said. So you must have heard about Chinese whisper, that you whisper in someone's ear and that thing is transmitted from one to another, and the last person who listens to the whisper is he comes up with entirely changed sentence or topic. So this shows that even one person is enough to convey the false news. For mass communication, we need to talk sometimes to a huge public, and we should be very careful about the selection of words. Then, second classification is on the base of medium employed. So when we talk about medium, we have verbal communication and we have non-verbal communication. So verbal communication is when we are using the words or in oral or written, both forms. And non-verbal communication is our body language, our emotions, our expressions, our feelings, our gestures, our postures, our eye movement, and then silence, space, and time. So silence, space, and time are again very crucial for the non-verbal communication. The third classification is on the base of organizational structure. So in third classification, we have formal communication and informal communication. So formal communication is the communication in which we are very much careful about the selection of words, and because we don't want that, we don't want to include slangs in them, we don't want to include joke in them. So that has to be very didactic kind of communication, the communication that is very serious, serene kind of communication that we are making. So that is informal communication. Informal communication is when we are not taking much care about the rules or the standard of language that we are using. So we can sometimes use non-standard language, we can use slangs in them. So that happens between friends or the colleagues who are quite near to each other, who have intimacy with each other. Class fellows have informal communication. We have informal communication with our good friends, cousins, brothers, family. So there is an informal communication. Then on the base of flow direction, this is fourth classification. We have downward communication, upward, horizontal, and diagonal. So downward communication is when a boss is writing a letter and he is transmitting the letters to his subordinates. That means that comes from high up to the junior ones, from the employer to the employees. Upward communication is when the employees are writing to employer, or when a subordinate is writing to his boss, writing or speaking both. Horizontal communication is when a colleague is talking to another colleague, when a director is talking to another director within the same company, a clerk is talking to another clerk. In diagonal communication, a clerk of one institute is talking to the clerk of another institute, or a principal of one college is writing to the principal of another college. We have 6 ways of using non-verbal communication. We have eye contact, we have facial expressions, gestures, posture and body orientation, proximity, paralanguage or paralinguistics, and humor. So, eye contact is our direct and most expressive part of our body. Like, there are different ways of eye contact. If you're having direct eye contact, that shows that we are confident. If we are looking downwards, it means we are listening carefully, or we are guilty. If we have single raised eyebrow, that means we are doubting on the stuff that we are listening or reading. Both raised eyebrows, they express our wonder, or that we are surprised or we are admiring something. If you have bent eyebrows, it means we have sudden focus on some thing or some written document or written material. If we have tears coming out, so that is the extreme of emotions, that either we are too happy or too hurt. So eye contact matters a lot whenever we are in our class, or when we are delivering our presentations in the class. So our confidence is our confidence is reflected through our eye contact. if a girl is delivering the presentation in a co-class, so if she is looking merely on girls, so she is not confident, or if a boy is merely looking on the boys, so he is not confident as well. So the eye contact demands that it should be made with every person present, so that none of the audience feels that the person is lacking courage to talk to you in eyes. And why we are not having eye contact? Because we are not confident. We may not be confident because of our knowledge, because of our skills, because of our dressing, because of our personality. So there can be so many reasons. So we need to avoid all those reasons so that we can have a better eye contact with the people. If you're looking downwards and we are being in that way, we are being guilty, or we are trying to listen carefully. So if someone is talking to you and you are looking sideways, you're not having an eye contact with the person, you're looking sometimes downwards, sometimes upwards, sometimes right and left. So that makes the person, the speaker, believe that you're not interested, you're evading, you're trying to end the discussion and go. If you have single eyebrow raise, so that shows okay, you're doubting something. So there could be so many things that we doubt in daily life. If someone communicates a thing that we are not believing in it, so we have this kind of gesture. So these are the gestures because of the use of eye contact. So eye contact is quite necessary in our communication. Like in other words, our communication is never successful without eye contact. It is again said that when you are a good presenter, or you want to be an effective teacher or presenter, don't turn your back to the students. So at least if you have to write on whiteboard, you should be tilting towards the board, but at least your some dimension should be towards the students, so that no one else is breaking the eye contact. So when eye contact breaks, the complete impression, the complete focus is broken. Uh, Another example is that whenever you see a theater or a stage, you will never see any actor turning his back upon you. So a good actor never turns his back upon the people, upon the audience. So eye contact should be made with everyone, and that is quite necessary part of it. Next is facial expression. So smile covers the most part of facial expression, and it is a powerful cue that transmits your happiness, friendliness, your warmth, liking, affiliation. So if your face is not smiling, you're taken either rigid or proud, or a very serious person. So communication with such people becomes difficult. So if your face is smiling, so it means that you are happy, you are friendly, you are showing your warmth, you're liking the stuff, you are showing your affiliation. So in this way, your smile works, and we should smile while looking at each other. So even giving a smile to your parents when you're looking at them, it is sadka jariya. So this is the importance of smile. So this is about gestures that we have already talked about before. So gestures are something that capture attention. You nod, you shake your head, and it brings a positive reinforcement to the students. So gestures and the using of gestures in your presentation and teaching, that equally collaborates with the content that you're speaking. So that makes the teaching style, presentation style, or the communication style lively. So this is about posture and body orientation. So we talk, we walk when we are in the class, or when you're presenting. It's not good to stand on the rostrum or dais and state what you are saying. You should be walking and standing erect, but you should not be rigid in standing erect. Like, you should be moving, you should be facing the audience. And remember one thing: whenever you are presenting something, or even you are acting on stage, do not turn your back to the audience. you should never be showing your back to the audience, because that loses eye contact and it is not good for teaching presentations or communications. So you should maintain the proper eye contact. So this should be your posture, and this speaking with your back turned or looking at the floor, ceiling should be avoided, and extra hand movement in your pocket, inside, or combing your head hair with your finger. So that is not good when you're teaching somewhere. There are always cultural norms which dictate a comfortable distance for interaction with the audience. So this proximity has something to do with the distance and the reverence which happens in your communication. You're talking to your boss, you're talking to your teacher, you're listening to a lecture, you're sitting in formal, informal gathering. So proximity at certain levels. Sometimes it happens that within a class we want discipline, or whenever you're presenting something in your classes, you want people listen to you. So some people use distractors. They're rocking, they're leg swinging, they're tapping, they're using their pens aimlessly, and they're using the fingers to drum on the chair. They're busy with mobile phone. So to avoid this thing, you should be walking within the class. And if you're a presenter, you should be walking in this way, that everyone is like in front of you, and you are having proper eye contact. Your voice is audible to all of them. So this makes them alert, and like proximity is increased in this. So now the paralinguistic features, I have already given you some details about it. So here is furthermore. In paralinguistic features, we have tone, stress, rhythm, loudness. In tone, we refer to intonation, like the rise and fall of human speech sound. Sometimes we need to lower our voice, our tone. Sometimes we bring the tone to the high pitch. So this is the movement of tone. We should not be maintaining one tone, the monotone basically. So that monotone creates monotonous in the class. So that such a presentation, such conversation, such communication, such lecture sounds boring. So we need to bring intonation. We need to bring rise and fall in our tones. Stress is again linked with the tone. We stress in sentences, we stress in the words. So when we are stressing the words, we stress syllables in them. And when we are stressing the sentences, we stress the words in them. For example, in a shorter way, I would like to give you an example. Like normally in English, we stress on the first syllable of a noun and second syllable of a verb. So the word research is a noun. I'm stressing more on the word re, first syllable. Research is a noun and research is verb. So this makes a differentiation between them. In another way, presentations and present. So present and present both are different things. Present is the gift. Present is to gift it to someone. So in both. So present and present are the same, like have the same spellings, but they are pronounced differently when dealing them as a noun or as a verb. So in sentence structure or sentence stress, we can use different kind of sentences, and the meanings change due to our stress pattern in them. Like if I say, I ordered you to bring a bouquet of red roses, and if I stress on you, so that will be giving a different sense. I ordered you to bring a bouquet. And if I stress on a, I stress you to bring a bouquet. I ordered you to bring a bouquet. I ordered you to bring a bouquet of red roses. I ordered you to bring a bouquet of red roses. So, like intentions are changing with the stress pattern. Rhythm is the way you continue your speech and you end your speech. You should have proper rhythm in that. There should be no extra breaks. There should be no extra silence in that. So in a proper beginning, in a proper rhythm, your presentation, your lecture should go on. Loudness refers to the quantity of audience and your volume of voice. like we should be audible to everyone present in front of us. So all the audience should be listening to us and we should be audible to them. Our voice should not be slow enough that they cannot comprehend what we are saying. So we have over 630 muscles in our body. Eye muscles are the busiest muscles in the body since eyes are all the time working when they're not closed, when we're not sleeping. Except for that time, we are always using the eyes, so those muscles are the busiest muscles of the body. Scientists estimate that they may move more than 100,000 times a day. Around 1 lakh times we move the muscles of our eyes. We are so busy with them. So it takes 17 muscles to smile and 43 to frown. So we can use only 17 muscles to bring smile on our face. We use 43 muscles to frown and show anger on our face. So smile every time you see someone. And the strongest muscle in your body is your tongue. Use it effectively. We don't have to talk all the time. God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen more and speak less. And whatever we speak should be comprehensive and should be full of wisdom. So it takes the interaction of 72 different muscles to produce human speech. So there are different muscles in the body which when combined produce the human speech. So we should be taking care of this force consumed. If we are daily consuming or utilizing this force and creating a human speech, then that speech should be good, positive, and productive.